Uh, Shalom. Start by saying all praises to Yahweh,
Our
Ba'Shem
Bashem
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Ba'Shem
Bashem
Harakah
Harakah
Kadash,
Kadash,
double honors to the apostles and elders
elders
of
of
Great
Great
Millstone
Millstone
of
of
Wow,
Wow.
and Shalom.
Shalom, shalom to
Uh, yeah, doing an open forum, going to current events, prophecy, end times, the usual. And yeah, it's kind of reasoning, saying like the way people are moving in this modern day and age. There are there's people really have no understanding of what's going on various different levels. They're kind of everyone's drawn into that pride of life. They're all trying to do what they're trying to do, but regardless, things are happening, man, and things are happening on the spiritual level. It's not just carnality. You got people operating, with demons. Bro was saying, recording a situation where some guy had demons on him. These guys don't in the world don't even know that's how they're moving. But that's the present times. That's how things are. Because why? People are the general populace are basically gonna be you know innocent innocent bystanders, so to speak. Prophecy going down. They're just gonna be extras in the scene. Just like you watch a destruction movie, and then you got thousands of hundreds of millions of people getting zapped. That's gonna be them. Start with this Isaiah 16:1. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. It's really the state we're in. Now it's everything's basically been flipped, everything's been confused and confounded to where what? The wicked, Satan, he's essentially been looked at as the light of righteousness in the world, which is why everyone's whole moral stance is completely thrown off. They're doing things based on how he does it, and then that has confusion abound. You got the men of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, the men of wisdom that he's basically set up, being looked at like, like nobodies, basically having no regard as far as in the eyes of the world, because they're like everyone's just more or less looking at things like, oh well, who are these guys with no regard? Where their suits at? Where's their money? Where's their TV shows? Where's their whatever the worldly glitz and glamour? Because they don't know how to recognize real worth in any kind of way. But the Lord Yahweh shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Yeah. So for the men of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, those are the elect. The light of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is going to be upon them. And it's going to get to the point where everyone's going to have to recognize. And that's really where it's like everything that's being done now, it's all in confusion, it's all in mess. It's going to be found, to be revealed to be that BS essentially. Because it's right now confusion's abounding. Everyone's you got the situation with the transgender swimmer, where you're having like you're gonna have a grown ass man competing with a bunch of women, which is that's a whole mess of confusion. Everyone for some reason and really it's because everyone's the realities of life are so overwhelming. Everyone's basically clung on to this Will Smith Chris Rock situation, and especially Jake, just because why? It's they're all they've been hearing in the news has been about Ukraine getting blown to high heaven, man, and all forms of things that have fuck all things that have kind of cascaded from that. The price of fuel going up, shortages of food, shortages of various goods, essentially hard times coming. That's really all that's been spoken about, and there's no reason to think it's gonna hold back. You got what's his name, Rishi over here doing his speech, talking about they're gonna have to change up X Y Z, and how taxes are going up. People are gonna be getting mullered, man. And where it's the cost of living going up, rent going up, minimum wage going up by like fucking 15 pence. Not that I actually checked, but it's that basically it's not going to be something where people can deal with it. Romans 12 and 1. I, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service. Yeah, so the men of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the reason why we operate differently, we maneuver differently as a world is because why we're offering ourselves as a sacrifice. We essentially have to sacrifice in the world to gain within Yahushai. So we're essentially moving to where it's what what the standard, the stock kind of behaviors and expectations people have in the world, we're having to throw all that out. People are like, oh, why aren't you chasing this job, or chasing this woman, or chasing certain kind of lifestyle? And it's like, obviously, we'll provide, brothers that have women, and we'll do certain things, but the core abiding love is what is this truth, is the scriptures. That's the main thing that we're putting our time, our energy, our spirit into, and then that to the people in the world is going to be confounding. For them, it's like when you operate a certain way, when it's like okay, you got certain dietary restrictions, it might be Shabbat, and it's like okay, you want to do certain things. These things will get people kind of like they'll look at you differently. They'll realize okay, this guy's a bit different. It says what? And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Yeah, be not conformed to this world. Because that's what everyone else has kind of done. Jake in general, they've been conforming. Actually in the curses, I'll read this. So, so, sign of wonder. Okay. Deuteronomy 28 and 36. The Lord Yahweh shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. Yeah, so Jake basically going into captivity and then serving the gods in captivity rather than serving Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And then what? And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord Yahweh shall lead thee. Yeah, basically becoming looked at in a displeasurable way, dealt with like what? Like kind of chaff, man. Just like, oh, why are these guys still here? And that's really, especially in America, that's the Jake experience. They got nabbed, they got taken over there. Then whilst over there, they're getting treated like a human resource. Then once Esau had basically been like, okay, that time's done. It was just like, okay, yeah, you're free now, and then just leaving them in a completely destitute state to then try and build themselves up. And when Jake does build themselves up, then Esau just came in and smashed the shit anyway. And now it's Jake's been ground down on multiple levels to where the way they maneuver, the way they operate is completely far from being a son of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They're just blacks. Where was it? So wood and stone. Verse 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a byword, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord Jehovah shall lead thee. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, shall gather it but little, for the locust shall consume it. But yeah, the point was in the prior verse. So I'll finish off Romans. It says in Romans 12 and 2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's where the truth comes in the word, because the word is really what gives us the means to renew our mind. If we're just maneuvering in the world, operating in the world, there's no channel by which you can, through carnal means, through anything Esau's promoting, through anything that's in so-called black culture, through any of these other channels, these other nations, whatever, Jake is not going to find a means by which for them to build themselves up. Because everything they're going to be doing is going to be for the glory of another. But really what we're meant to be doing is what? It's for the glory of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. That's the only way we're going to build up. That you prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. Yeah? And that's what we're essentially meant to be doing. We're meant to be showcasing that. And key part of being an Israelite is being that exemplar, man, of the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua upon the earth. And that's going to be recognized as well by the people in the world. You got anything?
Yeah, I got an article from Study Finds. It says money matters. 3 in 5 Americans admit waking up in middle of the night thinking about finances. New York, more than half of Americans feel embarrassed talking to others about their finances. A survey of 2,000 adults examined their relationship with money and found that 56% believe talking about finances with others is taboo. Although most are not sure why money talk may be taboo, 81%. Respondents say the most controversial money-related topics are asking about their parents' finances, debt, asking about parents' finances, 51%, debt, 45%, and wills, 43%. Debt in particular is such a taboo topic that nearly 3 in 5 people distort the actual money situation on social media to appear financially stable, 58%. Although 3 in 4 respondents, 76%, described themselves as an open book, in reality 63% confessed they would never discuss finances at the family dinner table.
Yeah, it's because people are toast, man. I can't remember what the statistic is. How many people in America live paycheck to paycheck? I think it was a majority. It's like 50 something.
Yeah, it was a big majority.
Because it was like 50-60% of people were just living paycheck to paycheck. And that's why it's like when the lockdown happens, bro, bare people were just toast. Or they just kept operating. There's a lot of people that have businesses where they were just
64%.
Like, yeah, 64%. Because as far as most people, it's life is peak. There's not as much as, especially with America, they sell it like, oh, you know, you're able to go there, you're able to build up, you're going to be able to accomplish everything. That's all of that is done. That whole period of time, that's been at an end for the longest. It's really since like 2008.
Wow. Let me read this quickly.
Toast.
Nearly 40%, this is the title, it's from prnewswire.com. It says nearly 40% of Americans with annual incomes over $100,000 live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. So the glorified 6 figures, the superhuman legendary, that's when you're making it. That's when you're working towards stacking your first milli and joining the millionaires club. But a bunch of them are basically on the same level, man.
But you know what it also shows? It goes into Revelations, the 13th chapter, rich and poor, free and bond. Because what Esau's world has created, he said that there's a middle class, alright? When really it's the lower class and the middle class are one and the same. You're basically poor, alright? Middle class is basically you just have more disposable income. That's why they're still living paycheck to paycheck, even though they're on 6 figures. But in the rich, they really like live off all the other classes, man.
Mm-hmm.
I just got 2 more paragraphs on the article, and then so it says conducted by one partnership with Questius. The study delved further into America's financial woes. 60% say they've woken up in the middle of the night thinking about their finances. 2 in 3 find themselves wide awake due to feeling that they're not where they should be financially in life. Respondents who would rather watch a scary movie, 30%, wow. Speak in front of a large audience, 27%. Or sit in 2 hours of traffic, 28%, then think about their financial issues. Unfortunately, those worries also follow people in their other areas of their life, with 83% uh, saying they feel guilty about treating themselves to pleasures like a shopping day or vacation, knowing while financially they're financially in the red.
Yeah,
Why financially in the red, so lucky.
because so with the majority of people, it's even when they start making more money, like they might get to a six-figure job, they might be making 80K, they might be making 70K. They'll then think like, okay, now I'm earning this amount, I've got to improve my quality of life, but that might be required, as part of the job. They might need to move into a certain part of the city. They might need to get certain kind of car, certain kind of clothes and whatnot, present themselves in a certain way. And then in doing so, they're then like finances that are basically getting stretched the same level or perhaps more than when they were broke. It's like when they had less money, they might have been more had to stretch it, but now they're thinking, okay, I'm doing good. Then they'll start blowing cash left, right, and center, paying exorbitant amounts for their rent, and that's like that happens a lot. Because I can't remember what it was with women especially. It's like with apartments, they'll kind of want to be concentrated in certain areas. It's like I know in London, it's like or East London, it'll be like Dalston, Hackney.
Which is the Hackney's the same place as Dawson, right?
I'm just thinking of specific areas in my mind.
Of what?
Where people want to kind of congregate and live around.
Really, the main place would be West London.
Yeah,
Chelsea and Kensington.
Yeah, but just like realistically, that's different kind of.
No, but that's the where people want to congregate. Those are the key places. Like that's the affluent areas within London. You're looking at it from. I'm saying if anyone's gonna come, they're gonna go to they go to the city of London. They're gonna go to High Street, Kensington. Then they'll go to places like for the nightlife. They'll probably go to Shoreditch, like different places like that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like for me, it's because that's a different level of kind of earning. Because even for like
What are you speaking to?
because it's even people that are like working class for them to live essentially trying to it's well for either it's like kind of areas they want to live into. They're not trying to find somewhere because really it's like if you wanted to save, you'd have to go to the outskirts of London or whatnot, and then kind of build up, and then maybe think about moving in. But people that they're just gonna be like, okay, let me just go here. Then they might be paying like 60-70% of their paycheck on rent, and then they're broke. And then that's like the same with when they'll get a job. They might they'll get a job within certain banks, or they might start working a high class fashion brand or whatever, and they start making big money. Then they'll move to what the brother mentioned like Chelsea or whatnot, and then they're still paying 60-70% of their paycheck on rent. But and that disposable, they'll be spending it, like I said, nights out, whatever. They're essentially trying. Everyone that's coming here, they're thinking about gaining. They want to pull out the pleasures that they see within the system, man. They see people able to go out and enjoy themselves. They see people, taking shots in taking pictures in certain apartments. They might be thinking, okay, I want to get, a flat. They'll get one of these new builds. I see these new builds. They'll be thinking, okay, I want to get a 7th floor flat with a little balcony, with a little dog and whatnot. They're dreaming of a certain kind of lifestyle. And then that's basically going to be, the snare. That's what's going to keep them ensnared. I'm going to read this. Deuteronomy 28:17. Cursed, something 16 says, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket, and thy store. And yeah, Jake is Jacob cursed as fuck. Trying to you know, stack P, trying to live a certain kind of lifestyle. You know, you'll be able to do certain things. You're not really going to be able to get on any kind of, you know, super level. And those that do, even those so-called stars, they're having to do vile acts to get to that level. And then even when they get, it's not maintained. Or they're not living that so-called dream, man. All they're doing is they're basically having to be beholden to other factors, man. They're then gonna have, you know, they're gonna have to go and promote certain things. They're gonna have to do what they're told. They're gonna have, you know, they're gonna have to fly around and do certain kind of jobs. They're not. It's not like they get that and then they just all they do is sit on beaches and lounge and sip cocktails. Because that's what people seem to think. It's like, oh, you make $1 million and you're gonna go around sipping cocktails. That's BS. The dream, you know, the dream is dead, bro. There's nothing out here.
I got this. This is First John 2:15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, it is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever.
Yeah, it links up with Romans 12. It says, "What be not conformed." It's like this current fashion, this current all that is being glorified, all the channels people are going through to try and gain on this side. Those things that when we get into the kingdom, that's all going to be forgotten. People aren't going to be thinking about, you know, the rat race or, you know, okay, working in this or getting. It's going to go back to righteous order of how you're going to build things up, man. Because as far as for now, in Esau's world, everything's based on usury. It's all about getting people destroyed and then dead to where they're then, you know, going to have to stay within the system, man. So there's people where it's like, that, you know, if you buy a house, you're fucking stuck paying paying the bank for 25 fucking years. Like that shit, like that's just wild. Is that over that much of a span of time, like fuck knows how many things can happen, and you don't even own the land. You can't put in a conservatory. You can't change, you know, you can't change your windows without getting permission from the state. So, you know, all the you know, the so-called glories of the world. It's all an illusion, man. It's a mist. It's a mirage. Got something else? Or...
Yeah. To back up the article. This is Sirach 31:1. Watching for riches consumeth the flesh, and the care thereof driveth away sleep. What was the article title? I'll read it again. It says, money matters. 3 in 5 Americans admit waking up in the middle of the night thinking about finances. And this is the time that we're in, all right? And why they think about finances? Because the time period that we're in, we're heading into great devastation. You have people downsizing, people saving, and hedging their finances by putting it in gold and different crypto and different things they believe will give them surety in the times that we're heading into. But this is why the scriptures here, man. So it says, Sirach 31:1. Watching for riches consumeth the flesh, and the care thereof driveth away sleep. Watching care will not let a man slumber, as a sword of the seas breaketh sleep. The rich have great labour in gathering riches together, and when he resteth, he is filled with his delicates. The poor laboureth in his poor estate, and when he leaveth off, he is still needy. He that loveth gold shall not be justified, and he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. Alright, so that even shows you that basically in order for you to be rich, you gotta be wicked, man. Alright, that's the world we're living in. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And that's why these people are presently suffering in this times that we're in, all right, with all the things that's coming about. Gold has been the ruin of many, and the destruction was present. It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it, and every fool shall be taken therewith. Blessed is the rich that is found without blemish, that have not gone after gold. Who is he? And we will call him blessed, for wonderful things have he done among his people. That's it.
Okay. Because yeah, it's with as far as with money, it's like money's one of those things. It's because you had rich, righteous men. You know, Job's an example. Abraham's an example. Lot's an example. But it's like what? Seek ye first the kingdom, then everything else will be added on. It's they maneuvered righteously, then hey, the Most High gave it as an addition, as a reward. That's those that are yearning after it. That's what they're seeking after. That's what they're setting as an apple of their eye. That's where the flaw comes. Because for you, you know, you to go and amass wealth through any means necessary, then all kind of fucked up activities you're gonna find yourself doing. That's really what people do. People, it's like that's why the world now as well is so cutthroat. People are thinking like, okay, well, you know, if I can cash out, as long as I get paid, then it's like, you know, I'm willing to do it. Some guy, you know, a guy will get fucking hung from the ceiling from a chain and let two grown men do vile acts upon him because he's thinking about, okay, well, you know, I'll get that fame, I get that deal. Matthew 6:24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve the Most High and Mammon. Yeah, you can't serve the Most High and Mammon. You can't be chasing after, you know, the monetary side, you know, trying to make it within the world, and then, you know, serve the Most High as well. And that's really a core part, especially for Jake, because the thing with Jake is they've got the curses working against them. The state they're meant to be in now is a destroyed state. So how much more so it's like those that are basically amassing wealth, those are, you know, celebrities and famous company owners and whatnot. For them to get that level within the society, they're, you know, they've allied with the forces of darkness, so to say. You guys in?
No, not right now. Well, I'm searching for a few things right
Okay. Da, 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 da. John 15 and 18. If the world hate you, know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. And that's that's the avenue, that's the route that you take as a man of the Lord. You're basically and this is a big part of why people don't really want to fuck with you like that in the world, because you know by your actions, by the way you maneuver, you're basically gonna, you know, set yourself apart. And as such, you know, that's why those that are in the world, these guys will just be able to, you know, amalgamate and work together, man. I remember a place I worked before. It's like some of the people that used to work there used to like go and smoke weed after work. When I was kind of in the vicinity of when this was happening, it was like a bunch of strangers kind of come in Then they all just started vibing and chatting. I was like, bro, these demons are just assimilating together to where it's like, everyone's uh, smoking a zubi and then just, getting along. And everything seems like it's all at peace, man. I was like, how these guys just like, no one even knows each other. And then everything's just kind of working together. It's because why? They're all the same demons. They're all, them demons are soothing them. Within that scenario, man, they're all feeling at peace as they come together. But there's what it's it's doing a madness with the mind altering substances to where, and that's the thing as well. It's like a lot of the people in the world, for them to operate in the world, they have to do all forms of madness, man. They ain't just moving like in a normal way. They'll be doing a variety of drugs. They'll have what's sexual deviancy. They'll be doing all forms of madness. You have guys where they'll, be paying a woman to step on their nutsack and put a dummy in their mouth. Like that's the kind of madness. Or you hear about these fucking orgies, man. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but you always hear about saying there's an orgy, there was a get together, there'll be fucking swingers, there'll be all kinds of madness that's just completely off according to the scriptures. That's what people will be getting down with. Because in the world there's no limits, man. All of these, you always find in these TV shows, man, where they'll kind of just have, they'll have these guys where, they're businessmen, they walk around in the suits. Then they just go into a party, there's a bunch of butt naked ass women, there's some naked ass dudes wearing but nothing but a bow tie around their neck. Then the men will just be bending anything they can get their hands on over a table somewhere. And why? Because that's how these guys get down. They ain't looking to just deal with things in a normal manner. They're in that deep into that left hand side, man, dealing with a sex magic and sex magic and whatnot. If you were of the world would love his own. But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Remember the word that I said unto you. The servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. Yeah. So that's the other key thing. It's because we come in the stead of Yahweh Shai, then we're being received the same way. Just as in ancient Rome, Yahweh Shai was being looked at and dealt with like what? They'll basically shunning and move it. They didn't love Yahweh Shai. Everyone was talking smack. And they schemed and put Yahweh Shai to death. That was what their desire was. And that's how people kind of moved. And then it was even continued with the disciples afterwards, became apostles. When they were moving around, when they'll moving throughout Jerusalem and Asia Minor and other areas, then it's like what they'll just started killing them because it pleased the people. And that's why it says, when you go out, don't teach in that name. Because why? Coming in steadily, how Shai, you're going to be received the same way. And that's why.
Okay.
That's why it's like people in the world, they're as it comes down to the wire as well. As the hardships are coming in, as the food's getting short. They're going to be less and less welcoming to brothers, because they're essentially they're going to be. It's really going to be through the spirits as well. They're just going to know the demon's gonna have them behave in certain ways. It says what they will persecute. They will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will also keep yours. But all these things will they don't do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. Yeah, and that's it. It's for Yahweh Shai's namesake. That's significant to the name as well. And these things are basically going to be a dividing line. When it comes to the truth, it's as it, in the hour of temptation, that's where you're going to have the biggest difference shown between those of the elect and everyone else, basically. Because the whole world's going to be tested. And the vast majority are just going to cop out and do what it needs to do. to maintain themselves within the society. God, yeah, you had some.
This is Matthew 10 and 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in the same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. So that's it. This is the time we're in the midst of. We're prophesying His word, and it speaks against the world. Alright, and as the brother was reading, you mentioned dealing with the people wanting to stop the apostles from speaking in the name of the Lord, alright, delivering them up to the councils and whatnot. It's the same thing that's going to happen in this time that we're in, alright? And hey, we ain't got to think about the words that we do, we're going to speak, but the Heavenly Father is going to basically put His Spirit upon us, where we're going to speak His words, alright?
Ephesians 2. Ephesians 2 and 2, it says, wherein in times past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh. And yeah, that's how, for the vast majority of brothers that came in, was basically off in the world, not knowing what was going on, doing all forms of madness, moving according to, all the basically moving how Esau set us up, because we're within this society and whatnot, doing whatever forms of madness. But then was what? Until we basically interacted with the truth and then became renewed afterwards. And it's, you still got Jake out there in that same spirit. But it says, among whom also we had our conversation in times past, in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind. Yeah. And basically it's in the flesh, doing anything that pleases the flesh, doing all forms of madness, ingesting any form of, any creature that slid down a wall, or crawled out of some cubby hole in the earth, that would be pleasing, or because in the world you don't know what the hell is going on. But it says what, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. But the Most High, who is rich in mercy, for His great love wherein He loved us, even when we were dead in sins, have quickened us together with Hamashiach. By grace you are saved. Yeah. And mercy was had. Because as far as it's like with the world, that's something where without the Spirit coming upon you, you're not really going to be able to break out of the destruction of your mind that basically being in a world is, man. What was it? I just had it in my head. Was okay, no, it's gone completely. I'll continue. So it says, verse 6, and have raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in Hamashiach Yahushua. And yeah, that's really what's happened with the truth through the word. That's really what allows you to get in any kind of level. Because without the word, you don't have that basic foundation from which you're building from. And that's what the truth basically gives to us. Because you really need to be built up. Because then what's coming? What time are we going into? We're going into the hour of temptation, where essentially the faith is going to be tested, and it's basically going to be the ultimate test on the face of the planet Earth, and hey, it's gonna have the ultimate reward or ultimate punishment, and that's gonna be for all the people on the face of the earth. Because what it's and that's the thing is people in the world, they're completely clueless. Meanwhile, it's like, you know, there's a completely, that's when they said the first ground war in Europe in like over 70 years. You know, you've had energy, and you had funny enough, you had an energy crisis in the UK before the whole situation with Ukraine and Russia kicked off. So then, how much more so of an issue is that going to be? You've had shortages in production line for a lot of products from the onset of the pandemic, like 2 years back, and now further issues are frustrating. You know, how significant is it going to be? All, you know, looking at all the things being reported, it's looking like it's going to be a fucking mess, man. It's going to be completely on top. It's going to be and the UK being an island as well. Guys don't really like. There's barely any food that's actually grown out here, and even then, it's like it's not like you can just harvest whenever. Like if there's shortages, you know, people might have to go and Mad Max into some, you know, into some farms out in the sticks. But then they ain't gonna last too long. People are gonna get hungry. People are gonna be roaming around. It's gonna get purged. Like they might have to get a fucking old hunting rifle because they ain't got no guns in this country, and start blowing people's heads off and sticking them in the pot. It says, in ages to come, he might show the exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness towards us through Hamashiach Yahushua. Yeah, grace is a key part in essentially how, you know, us as Israelites who've obviously transgressed the law are basically going to have an avenue to get into the kingdom. And that's, you know, significance of Yahushua, significance of the new covenant. And basically why? There's a narrow path, essentially, by which to get, you know, to get this to get into salvation, man. And that's, hey, the world is essentially trying to, you know, claw at and basically draw as many people as possible into ruin. And hey, that's, you know, that's what we contend against daily. You anything?
No, I haven't. I got an article, but you can
Okay.
tell me at some point.
Yeah, but for by grace are you it's kind of okay, yeah. So verse 8, for by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves is the gift of the Most High, not of works, lest any man should boast. Yeah, something we've received through mercy. As a gift that's, you know, been handed on to us. And that's a mindset that is completely averse from the world. Because as far as for like everyone in the world, they think they can, you know, they can just what's the word? Is it affirmations or that kind of I think it is an affirmation. They kind of where they say like, oh, you know, they'll listen to a 2-hour podcast or 2-hour recording of someone gay say, yes, you're gonna be able to make money. Look, go out today. In your mind, visualize the money. Visualize it. You're gonna. I'm like, bro, these people are are worshiping the world in a legendary way, man. Man, are gonna listen to. I mean, you can find them on YouTube, just like fucking 1 hour of just some guy saying like, yes, you're gonna get that money. You're gonna get rich. I'm
Affirmations.
like, yeah, affirmations. It's, bro, people are bugged out, man. Like this is, and that's not, you know, that's how much faith. Because as far as for them, all they can see is the world. They're just thinking like, yo, I must needs cash out something from this, because otherwise there's nothing left. But then what? It's that's the thing is even for anything, us receiving this word, it wasn't just because, you know, you roaming around and, you know, or you just sitting reading the scriptures, and then you're just able to piece it together. It's something that you need to have basically taught onto you and shown onto you. And really, you need that spirit to quicken it. Because says what not of works not of works lest any man should boast, for we are his workmanship created in Hamashiach Yahushua unto good works, which the Most High hath before ordained that we should walk in them. Yeah, we're essentially a work that's been built up, and that's what we're essentially with that position, with that status comes certain responsibilities, certain works that need to be done. Because as far as it's a whole body being built, it's the house of David being restored. We're essentially being built back up to to that state. Yeah, don't with that. You might as well get.
Yep. Read this. This is from the news. It says, as gas prices saw Biden's climate ambitions sputter. Washington, a year after he entered the White House with a vow that fighting global warming would be a driving priority for his administration, President Biden finds his climate agenda is mired in delay and faces legal, legislative, and political headwinds that could diminish or dismantle it entirely. His two main avenues for significant climate action are legislation and regulation, but even Mr. Biden's top aides and closest allies now concede that the legislative centerpiece of his climate plan is unlikely to become law in the face of steadfast Republican opposition and regulations that are now under development. Strict limits on the pollution from cars and power plants that are dangerously heating the planet could be curtailed or blocked by the conservative majority on the Supreme Court. With gasoline prices surging after the Russian invasion of Ukraine and images receding of last summer's climate disasters, wildfires that raged through 7 states, heat waves and floods. So Republicans and oil companies are newly emboldened in calling for more drilling and less emphasis on climate change. Alright? So this man is basically, due to what's happening, is looking to bring this world into much more disarray. Let me read this scripture to harp on that point a bit more. Alright, so this is Isaiah 24:4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the world, the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled and the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. And that's only what's going to happen, alright? Because this man is destroying the earth, alright? That's why the Lord said this as well. Let me read this quickly, as opposed to say. So this is Revelations 11:18. It says, "And the nations were angry, and a wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants and prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth." Alright, and that's the destruction that's coming. Okay. So let me read on. It says, the U.S. oil companies are like a prisoner that has condemned the death and that was condemned to death, and suddenly the warden of the prison lets them out and wants them to produce as much oil as quickly as possible, said Robert McNally, a consultant who was a senior energy and economic advisor to President George W. Bush. Now the president is saying to them, help me out of a jam. It's a panicked response to high oil prices. Right? So this is showing you this America's just stepped in the shit basically, and they're wiping it all on their fucking they're using their dining tables cloth to wipe it, all the shit off their feet. Alright? Because they kicked off, they wanted to participate in the warfare of, they stoked the flames of Ukraine and Russia. And to what avail? To what avail? To the point where their resources are in jeopardy, the price of everything has gone up, and they basically shot themselves in the foot. Alright? Sitting at a table and there's all shit stains on it. So now they have to find another means of surviving, basically. Alright? On Thursday, President Biden said he would release 1 million barrels of oil a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve for as long as 180 days to help bring down the global oil prices. The scale and duration of such a release would be historic. The United States also plans to increase exports of natural gas to help Europe wean itself from Russian supplies. Environmentalists are concerned that both of those moves will lead to more domestic drilling at a moment when scientists say nations must sharply and quickly cut fossil fuel use. But then I believe they're forgetting to tell you that what they want to use, what they want to send to Europe is liquid, basically liquid
Gas.
liquid gas, yeah, liquid natural gas, LNG, I believe they call it, which basically needs to be processed. So, hey, it's just, and the reason why one of the main reasons why I'm reading this is because everything within the realm of this world operates upon energy. Around one of the main energies being fuel, oil, gas. Alright, and with these lacking in the world, these resources are going to drive up. It's going to drive up the prices of food. Alright, amongst many other things in which the world relies on. Alright. So it shows you we're in dire times right now. We're in a time like never before. And to the point where, this is nothing new. All these presidents, they come in saying one thing and they lead with one thing and they ultimately lead with another. And basically leading with global warming, but they threw that on the back burner and they're driving up the green, the carbon footprint for the sake of driving down the prices of food. And allowing the economy to even out, all right?
Yeah, even with that, it's the whole carbon footprint and global warming and these things. Those things are just there when they serve a purpose.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
To the establishment. That's the thing is all these things. These elites do not give a flying fuck about the general populace, about the planet and maintaining and whatnot on long-term plans. Those things are basically utilized as for political points and for to apply pressure on other nations. Because funny, like with a lot of the so-called environmentally friendly stuff, it's essentially like America has already had hundreds of years of utilizing and doing vast amounts of pollution and whatnot, and now they're kind of developed. They're just like, okay, the rest of the world, you guys, you guys chill out. You guys don't do the same shit, because essentially utilization of fossil fuels, as they call them, would be necessary for Africa, China, etc., to get up on certain kind of levels. As far as how they want to, conduct their society, but that's what it's political posturing. I don't give a fuck about the planet. And that's a lot of things, man. With everything in Esau's world, the surface level is a lot of is the most important part. How it's presented, how it's viewed. Because that's why it says what? It's, even Satan transformed himself into an angel of light. Esau's become the angel of light, but then, he's still the same old devil, man, that old serpent. So what? He presents things is going to be like his righteousness. But what he actually does is, it's going to be according to his wicked nature. You got more on yours or no?
If you got a precept, we can go through.
Isaiah 30:1. Woe to rebellious children, saith the Lord Jehovah, that take counsel but not of me, and that cover with a covering but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth. That's what you got. You got a lot of Jacob, really, the whole world kind of wandering after the beast, man, following after Esau's system and his structure. And that's what they're looking to as for comfort, for, going into the future. They're thinking Esau and his society is going to do its utmost to, to sustain their lifestyle, be able to help them continue to pay their bills and whatnot, and live the life they dream of X, Y, Z years down the line. But in reality, it's these elites. They're about their own agendas, man. The general populace, they're collateral damage, man. They're they're extras. They're just
Cannon fodder.
yeah. They're not the priority. They're not thinking about, okay, we need to make sure we keep these guys pleased and whatnot. The whole circus of politics is just entertainment. That's so people feel they're involved. Meanwhile, it's the same agendas continue being pushed down, regardless of who's in office. And you have to think like, what is meant to have flipped between two drastically different parties. Meanwhile, core policies are being pursued. So the walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. And yeah, the new Egypt is what? America. That's by and large where a lot of Jake are looking to. You kind of mentioned that's why when the pandemic situation, you're getting the yabs. Everyone was jumping on it, man. Over here they mentioned like the fourth shot, and then there's people work certain places talking about, oh yeah, I need to go grab it. I'm just like, god damn. Like people really just comply. That shit can, they're gonna make that just like the flu, where you're gonna have to get it regularly, and then people just they'll just go do it. That's the that's how what do you call it? How much people are integrated with the society. They'll just comply without so much as thinking about it. Then anyone that questions anything, they're all gonna be looking at you like what's the movie? Inception. In Inception, when it's like all the when he says like, oh, you're in a dream, then everyone there just stops moving and just stares at him. It's like that's how it is. It's like you rock the boat. You say like, oh well, actually I was kind of thinking, I wasn't, and then everyone's like, They just instantly like, oh, you're anti, you're one of those lot. Cause why? They're all got the same programming, man. We're going, yes sir.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I could read on a little bit with this article.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
I mean, if it's done.
No, I got plenty. It says, the president used the announcement about the Petroleum Reserve to make a plea for his stymied climate legislation, saying that he was boosting gas and oil supplies to deal with an immediate crisis but that the country's long-term energy independence should be rooted in wind, solar, and other renewable sources that are insulated from global market fluctuations. Ultimately, we in the whole world need to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels altogether, Mr. Biden said. We need to choose long-term security over energy and climate vulnerability. We need to double down on our commitment to clean energy and tackling the climate crisis. All this, blah blah blah. Um,
Yeah.
this is it. This is a good point. Republicans have shown little interest in addressing climate change despite the overwhelming consensus of the scientific community that nations must take immediate action to slash emissions from fossil fuels or face a harrowing future of drought, floods, fires, displacement, famine, and more. The planet is warming so quickly it is outpacing humanity's ability to adapt, according to the most recent report for the United Nations written by 270 researchers from 67 countries. Global emissions of carbon dioxide, the greenhouse gas most responsible for climate change, are at their highest level in history after a temporary dip during the CV pandemic. Alright?
Yeah, that's the thing is those things, you know, they're calling it global warming, but it's through prophecy. That's how they, regardless though, they can't be averted because it's tied into prophecy. And you know, we're in the midst of it. We're seeing it. That's the thing. It's with the vanity of you know, of the world. Is people out here think they're going to be able to avert it. They think they'll be able to, you know, to change things up, find some means of how they're going to have it serve their own desires. But this comes down to Yahweh Shem Yahushua.
Let me read the precept because it mentioned the main point of being that it said what the things that had happened. Let me just read it one more time. It says Republicans have shown little interest in addressing climate change despite the overwhelming consensus of the scientific community that nations must take immediate action to slash emissions from fossil fuels or face a harrowing future of drought, floods, fires, displacement, famine, and more. So as the brother said, it don't matter whether you do this, it ain't about global warming, it's about the prophecies of the Heavenly Father. That shit's gonna happen regardless whether you do it or not. Second Ezra 15:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee, that speaketh against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, right? And we're seeing pollution happen through what? Fossil fuels, but it's polluted by mainly the breaking of the laws. That's what they're saying. They say fossil fuels. But the main pollution we're seeing is by way of going against the laws of the Heavenly Father, right? And it having an adverse effect on the earth. Verse 7, therefore saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. That's the point.
Read this. Isaiah 66:15. For behold, the Lord Yahweh will come with fire, and his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by this fire and by his sword will the Lord Yahweh plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. Yeah. So, what we're in the midst of, what's getting ready to go down, is the judgment of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. As such, these things are all markers, signs that we're in the midst of those times. And hey, what's coming further down the pipeline, which is what? Nuclear warfare, man. Nuclear destruction, mainly upon America. That's what it's gonna be. And that's the thing is, people are ringing the alarm bells, in the world, but the real alarm bell is the prophets. Because these guys are trying to subvert it, but it's already set. It's been sealed, man. Leave it at that.
So that would say all praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Harakah, double orders, apostles and elders, agreeable son of the world. Shalom.
Shalom.